Greetings, Barbara E. Ringrose. I'm the co-creator of Optimize Her2 and also the founder of WOW, Women Optimizing Women. You can view me on wowwomenus.com. And my co-creator, co-host here today is LaQuincia Nichols. She is also the founder of her small business, experience-coaching.com. Small business. We appreciate everything that you all do to support us. And we thank you as we introduce on this segment of Optimize Her2, Valorie Smith. Valorie Smith has an interesting business called Wealth with Valor. And that's something I think people are going to say, well, what in the heck does that mean? But I think it's really important. A lot of women, for instance, I've noticed when I get on calls and we talk about wealth building and we talk about money and finances, well, you know what? They're not necessarily prepared. Probably because we view things from a 360 angle, if you get what I'm saying. So we're always busy doing things. But what if building wealth isn't about how much money you have today, but whether or not you're willing to begin? So with that, I'm going to turn you on over to LaQuincia Nichols, and she will follow up and introduce Valorie Smith.
Yeah, so excited for today's episode because I think anywhere where we can incorporate financial literacy education to our audience is always important. And even if you feel as though, you're completely literate, I think things are always changing. And so being open and having someone like Valorie, who's going to be able to share some of the new tips and techniques and just thought processes around money and financial literacy is amazing. Many women believe that they may have waited too long or they don't earn enough or can't really afford to begin saving wealth. But Valorie is here to sort of change that mindset. Before Valorie was into wealth building, she was also in education. So she helps people from all forms of life understand that wealth is not just about having millions of dollars. It can mean living with greater peace, freedom, stability, and the ability to give generously. Valorie, we welcome you to the Optimize Her2 podcast, and we're so excited to have you join our show.
Thank you very much, Barbara and LaQuincia. I am happy to be here, honored to be here, and I was flattered to be invited.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's welcome to Optimize Her2. Their purpose, as Quincy kind of led on to earlier here in this segment, is all about that educating, elevating, and empowering. And as we focused on women primarily, now we're finding men are also engaged. So when you're speaking to our audience, Valorie, it's just not about women. It's about our men too.
What's going on? It's all about humans, right? As humans, how can we be better?
And human interface.
I'm excited for this. Yeah. So I guess my first question, and really to sort of level set with our audience, Valorie, is an elementary school teacher to now a licensed insurance agent and financial educator. Let us know how, going from that to this, how did this happen for you?
It's funny you ask. I was about a third of the way through my teaching career. And one day before the bell rang, before the children came into the building, the principal came on the intercom and said, there'll be a gentleman in the building today that's available for you to come and talk to if you want to about retirement planning and investing. And ladies, I did not have the headspace for that at all. Even though I was educated, master's degree in administration, I wasn't interested. I'm an artist. I'm wired that way. I play piano. And I thought, we're fine financially. We pay our bills on time every month. We do not have debt except our house and our car. And I basically thought we were killing it. We were having fun. And so I avoided the teacher's lounge and skipped that, went like this and went, I don't have to go to that meeting. So I didn't. And school let out that afternoon. The children went home. I was grading papers at my desk. There was a knock at the door, on my classroom door. And I reluctantly got up to answer it. And there he was, the investment dude standing there, grinning in his suit and tie, introducing himself. And he asked if I had a few minutes. And I went like this with my wristwatch. And I went, yes, just a few. I've got to go hurry and get my kids at daycare. My daughter's at daycare. We sat down. I'll shorten this story. But he didn't pitch anything to me, nothing. He didn't tell me what they do or anything. He just said, he asked me a few questions. How old are the kids? What does my husband do? What do we do for fun? And I blasted out those answers. And then he looked at me pointedly and he said, may I ask you a couple of serious questions? I said, okay. So he said, are you paying yourself first? I didn't even know what that was, let alone am I
Right.
doing. No,
Yeah.
I did. I was foreign to me. So I said, I guess not, because I don't know what it is. So there was my strike one.
Mhm.
Then he said, do you and your husband have an emergency fund? And if so, how many months will it last? Emergency fund? No, we didn't. Even though we didn't have credit card debt, we were good about that. But I said, no, sir, we don't. So strike two. His third question was, are you planning to send your daughters to college? I said, yes, I think so. He said, what do you have set aside to pay for that?
Mhm.
Again, nothing. So it hit me so hard with so much impact. I realized we were broke and we didn't even know it. And my mindset, my heart, my head, everything shrank. I thought, here I am thinking this whole time that I was killing it as a parent. And yet I didn't have anything for them for the future. So I converted that quickly, answering those three questions. I was totally converted into this new mindset of, okay, let's grow the money. Let's do this. Are you here to show me how, sir? And he said, yes, I am. And he showed me how, and we built wealth. We built wealth so nicely that we paid our mortgage 15 years early. We paid it off,
Wow.
burned up the mortgage paper. So I'm passionate about helping our population be prosperous without having to depend on anyone else, that they can do it dependently, self-reliantly, have fun with it, have joy with it, and be able to share. So isn't that what God wants us to be, is not only wealthy, but generous. So
Mm.
here I am.
We're so glad that you took a
Interesting.
moment for that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I let
that's
him
where it
in.
hits. That first time when someone asks those questions, those type questions, and you have to, and you almost feel less than because you answer them. They are hard answers that you gave for you because then you realize at that time, I am not prepared. I have too much of this. I don't have enough of that. My children, as a parent, as an educator, as a professional, I got my master's. I'm doing all these things and I'm not ready financially. So wealth is not only for the wealthy, is it? Because many women hear the phrase building wealth and they think it's something like it's like an empire that they're building. And they immediately think that it's for people who like already have a lot of money, like they've inherited money, that they were
Mhm.
born into family money. But how do you define wealth, Valerie? Can you give like an explanation for us?
Yes, I can, Barbara, but to add to what you just said, I think people fall into two basic categories when it comes to not building wealth. And I was in the
Okay.
first one. The first category is they don't think they need to. They think they're good. They're in denial. They're in this bubble and they don't know or care how expensive the future is if they don't plan for it. That was me. That's the first
Mhm.
category. The second category is they think, oh, there's just no way. I'm paycheck to paycheck. I can't possibly pay myself when I am struggling to pay everybody else. And most of the time, those responses are wrong. People are in the dark with their money and they don't realize how much farther it will go if they commit to a bold decision. So it can be done. They just need the tools. They need the income, no matter number one, they need the income and they need the desire. They have to want it. So my definition of wealth is being able to live financially peacefully with not having to worry. I don't necessarily define wealth as millions or billions, but plenty and abundant and relaxation and the ability to share. And wealth also includes just your spirituality. You're wealthy in spirit, you're wealthy in physical fitness, you're wealthy in mental. There's a lot of wealth component in that, but my
Mhm.
section is with the money, of course.
And we've had other, remember our two gentlemen that we had back in December?
Yes, yes,
It was
yes.
interesting that you're almost reiterating what they said. When people think about wealth, a lot of times they think of a dollar sign, like
Singular.
greenbacks.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so
Mm.
wealth is a misunderstood word, I think, you know. And of the books I've read, one of the most beneficial to me was Millionaire Women Next Door, and it was a sequel to Millionaires Next Door. But I happened to read the women one first because it was given to me. And
Mhm.
it says in there, we don't build wealth by how much we make. We build wealth by how much we save. And so many really, really abundantly, fabulously wealthy people don't look at. They're driving, older model cars and they're living in regular, just common type of neighborhoods. And
Mhm.
and yet that's their wealth and they're doing great.
That's a really great point. And I think, Valerie, one of the things that I've heard you speak about and one of your stronger message is that saving for something is exponentially better than saving for nothing. Right. So why is beginning small? Right. And when I think about, some of the people who feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck, I just can't figure it out. How do they start saving? Like, how do they start in terms of the mindset and the shift of being open to saving?
Oh, thank you, Quincy. We do a complementary financial needs analysis, and this is what the gentleman after school did for me when he said, "You've got between $200 and $300 that you can commit to paying yourself first." I said, "No, sir, we don't. We are living paycheck to paycheck." And he grinned at me and he said, "Well, that money must be sneaking out the back door of your house, getting spent on things that aren't serving you." And I couldn't help but think he was right. I had no argument for that. So to answer your question, Quincy, we do that financial needs analysis and we help them find some money. We point out maybe there's a cheaper phone service that they could use, or maybe there's less eating out. We always make it their idea. So they own it and commit to it and then they feel better about it. And so it's designed so that they're not having to spend any more money than they're spending right now. They're just repurposing it and
Yeah.
putting
It
it
sounds like they're
to where
shifting
they're
it.
yep, they're shifting it. Kinda like moving your socks around in the drawer, turning them this way or this way to make them slide in and fit better. I guess it's creative financing. We've heard about
Yeah.
that.
Yes, yes, we have.
It's
I
interesting.
love
You're
the I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. You love those.
I
I'm
love
sorry.
those looks on their faces when they just sort of exhale and then they say, "I wish I'd have known about this years ago."
Yeah.
But the point is then you bring that up to them, make it known today, and that's the important thing. You can't do anything about the past. Where you are right now is where you have to pick up. But what do you think are the most common reasons that people delay taking action? Do they think it's too far ahead? Do they think that the government's going to take care of me? Do they think their family's going to give them money? What do you think that those reasons are why people delay?
Yes, 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 and yes to answer those questions. And
Mhm.
so there are three enemies to building wealth: inflation, taxation, and procrastination. So the human spirit is a procrastinator on anything.
Yes.
"Oh, I'll do my ironing tomorrow, or oh, I'll trim those bushes tomorrow." Procrastination is just we're wired with it. And so the reason I think people procrastinate I think the reason they procrastinate is they don't know where to start. They don't know how. They haven't learned. It's not taught in school enough. And so they don't put on their Walmart shopping list, buy a book on how to do this stuff.
Mhm.
They just don't. What they do instead is they grow coping mechanisms for their meager financial state. They learn to live with it. They learn to tolerate it. And with a happy, positive mindset, they make themselves happy and I'm fine. I love my life. And what is really sad, and we've noticed this here in Myrtle Beach, which would seem like an affluent, easygoing community with lots of money. But my husband and I admittedly eat out way too often. And
Yes.
full. Myrtle Beach is full of women in their 70s that are waiting tables.
Mhm.
And I
That's
think,
sad, I've seen that too lately.
yes. And I
That's
think,
sad.
oh, they didn't have a man after school come and pull them up by their bootstraps and say, "Hey, look what you can do." They're still working. And that's good that they're still working. But that's their fate because
Yeah.
they didn't get the education. The education is so supremely important.
I looked down on my desk and I had
Mhm.
written these words: "People do not listen," with 3 exclamation marks. And I can tell you, over my experience in mortgage lending and also in consulting with ladies in WOW and other associates I meet along the way, they don't listen. They don't listen in a conversation. They don't listen when someone talks about things like wealth. Maybe it's that procrastinating factor. Maybe it's that, maybe they feel less than, maybe they're embarrassed, for whatever reason it is. But I feel like in our society, people don't listen to the importance of what it can do and sit back and take the time so that they can hear more about these things, Valerie. From you, I think they would really get a lot and they would find it's not long before they can see their uh, savings, their
Mhm.
investments increase, and their expenses decrease.
Yes, and it excites them. So when I'm working with a client, I show them an illustration that clearly states in year number 5, you're going to have this much money based on the interest it's going to earn. We also teach about interest, which is another totally foreign concept to the majority of people. People haven't even learned what compound interest is. We
Mhm.
teach that paying interest over time is the enemy and earning interest over time is the friend.
Right.
So these young girls that have a closet full of Dooney Burke bags that are still
Oof.
being paid on the credit card, they don't understand the horror of paying compound interest. No one has
Yeah.
ever taught them that.
I can tell you, I was that girl that you speak about, Valerie, especially, when I was in my sort of corporate heyday and had a very wonderful salary and bonus opportunities. And, it's not that the money was falling from the sky, but it was a nice lifestyle, right? And with that, you tend to believe that, more money is coming and this is an investment piece is how I would rationalize it in my
Yeah.
mind, right? Now, what I've known as I've matured is that the resale market is very, very different, right? So there are some things that you can invest in, and if the situation requires a resale, you may have a return, but more times than not, you really don't. And what I've come to learn and understand is, especially here recently, is the amount of people, because I don't think it's just centered to our younger people anymore, but the payment options, right? Like the Klarna, the Afterpay. So many people are so stuck and beholden to these things now to where they really can't figure out. I remember, maybe 10, 20 years ago, it was title loans, depending on the state that you may be in. And that had people really feeling shackled and hard to really understand how to leverage their money. Are you seeing, or what is your experience with all of these sort of options when I think about when you're talking about interest?
That's a great question, Quincy. And I am seeing if I can get the client to my financial needs analysis, I see
Mhm.
crazy credit card debt. They have several. They have several cards that are all pretty well maxed out. And until they're maxed out, they don't realize how harmful it is until they can't use it. So our biggest challenge is once we get them in front of us, now we can work with them. Barbara, when you said people don't listen, you're right, they don't. That day at school, that fateful day at school, I wasn't willing to listen. I wasn't willing to listen. And he came and kidnapped me basically in my classroom. But the biggest hurdle is cornering, for lack of a better word, cornering a person to come and sit in this quiet, peaceful, non-distractible space where they can actually see the light.
Yeah.
And they see it that they're in it feeling safe without harm. So the man after school, when I felt so shameful and I went, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I've done this." He said, "Valerie, it's okay. You're in good company. 80% of the population is just like you."
Yeah.
80%.
Wow.
And what
Yeah.
he said was, it's not necessarily people that are just appearing to be very poor. It's also people that are so upside down in debt. They're living
Mhm.
in high end neighborhoods and driving high end vehicles and they're shopping and they're doing things and it's all debt, which is poverty.
Yeah. I think that's such
They're so
a clear point, Valerie, because if you are in that luxury car, right, or the car maybe, it represented something at a point and now it doesn't, or, you're in a higher income or you're, what we call house poor in certain parts of the country. It's sometimes hard to separate yourself from that. Like, do you have a tip or a strategy that someone can sort of think about to say, okay, this served me. Even I think about some people who may start to downsize, right? Because now we're empty nesters and we don't need the 5-bedroom house, 4 bathrooms, right? The kids are out of the house. How do they start downsizing or thinking about, okay, I need to return this vehicle for something different? Like those are to me major life decisions, but also sometimes can make signals to other people about what you may be going through. They may see it as, I'm tightening my budget, but I'm tightening strategically because I want to be able to transfer that money I'm spending here to do something different. How do you sort of get them open to those ideas?
Well, that's a great question. And every case is different, of course. Every person and situation is different. So each conversation is tailor made to them and their goals and their dreams. We want to know what their goals and their dreams are. We have to find that out first. If we can't, what's the word I want to say? Ascertain what their goals and dreams are, and we can't get them to do it, they're not going to see any value in it. But here's one example of a young lady I did in Virginia. I leave her nameless, of course, but she was making good money and spending it. She was driving a beautiful, not Hummer, but something similar, and I forget which. I did the illustration, I did the conversation. She was all on board, and she was ready to come back to the following meeting, and I would write a policy for her. And she almost backed out. And here's what she said. You know, Valerie, I don't know. I don't think this is for me. I said, possibly not. What concerns you? And she said, well, I want to be able to see what I have and what money I'm putting in the bank or into an account of some kind. I don't really see it, but my Hummer out there in the driveway, I can see it and I can drive it, and it's concrete to me.
Yeah, it feels
I
real.
said, well, you're right. You can see it, you can drive it. And what you are seeing and what you are driving is debt. So that's debt that you're going to owe. The price of that vehicle is going to be a whole lot more expensive once you pay it off after you've paid the interest over years. It's
Yeah.
debt. That's what you can see. What you
Yeah, that's
think you
interesting that you see what you talk about what you could see. I remember when I had gotten to $13,000 in my 401k with my employer. I didn't look at it, and then someone happened to talk about it that you could go online through our intranet and you could see what your balance was. I didn't know how much I had in there. And I think just training people to say, now you don't need to go in there every day, because if you go in
Hmm.
there every day, especially at a time like now or 2008 or other times, every 7 years or so, we get a
A
reset.
reset.
Everybody knows that, but everybody freaks out. They take all their money out. And then when you take it out, now you've devastated yourself. The point of investing is for long term. And I think somebody like that, they're so nearsighted, they can't see it. But the important thing is if maybe they go in quarterly, take a look at it so they can see the growth. Because I know even that 13,000, when I saw that years ago, that made took my breath away. And for financial wellness for women, women are way behind men. I heard somebody say something counter recently, and I just thought, I wonder where they got their information from, because everything I see is quite different. And there may be an update that I've overlooked. But women and entrepreneurs, they keep working so hard. And many entrepreneurs are so busy, or even if you're a domestic engineer, you're working in the house, you're raising the kids, you're doing all the things. They focus heavily on their business or on their home, but they totally neglect their personal financial security. Then one day, like we've had Anna Felix over in
Hmm.
California say to us, that one day happens. So, what do business owners or those domestic engineers, what about some insight about creating financial wellness outside of their businesses, outside of what they're doing? Is there ways that they can do that?
Yes, absolutely. And I think my biggest emphasis would be don't try to do this yourself. Don't try to figure this out for yourself. And don't depend on the internet for the end all be all answer. You need to sit with a financial professional, someone that you like and trust, and ask for the not only, ask for the advice and everything, but ask for the financial education basics. That's what's missing. And with all respect to financial advisors, Edward Jones, Smith Barney, Merrill Lynch, they're highly educated, they're credentialed, They often prefer to work with people that have a certain threshold of money. And many of these firms won't even work with people if they don't have
I've heard that. I know
Yeah.
that for a fact. Yes.
yeah, yeah, a minimum. And they'll also charge you a pretty penny to work with you and to do that financial needs analysis.
Look at their
So it's
marketing. Look at their office
it's another
spaces.
one. Yes.
You're paying
Yeah,
for all that.
Look
they're
at what
brick and
cars they're
mortar, they're
driving.
home twice, all of that. So
Mhm.
even if if it's somebody earning, $35,000 a year, let's just say as an example, they still need to find someone that they can know, like, and trust and be willing to share. Be willing to share honestly their information. The girl I was speaking about who said, "I don't think I want to do this because I can't see. All I really see and what matters to me is my possessions, my
Yeah.
vehicle in the driveway, etc." And I told her it's debt, but I reeled her back in. And I reeled her back in and I said, if you don't do this for yourself, who's going to do this?
Hmm.
Who is
She'll
going
be
to
one
do
of
this?
those 70-year-old ladies working in the restaurant as a waitress, and
Yeah.
I've seen a huge uptick in these ladies as I go out to eat way too much myself. I'm to
You're
blame
not
for that.
alone. I think we all do.
But I do
It's
believe
America's
I
pastime.
overtip to give these ladies too
Oh yeah,
because I
me too.
recognize how hard they're working.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
the moral of that story is she did sign up. When I
Good.
asked her,
Yes.
if you don't do this for yourself, who's going to do it? And she went,
Hmm.
I said,
Wealth
there's
is a
three
way to
things you
serve
gotta do.
others.
Pardon me?
Wealth is a way to serve others, and we just gave an
Absolutely.
example of that.
We
Whereas
did.
we accumulate our wealth, you're also helping others accumulate theirs. The waitress example that we just gave, that woman that's out there, by then contributing back to our communities, giving them some comfort, giving them then an opportunity for success. So as we become more experienced in our savings, take a look at what we can give back to the community because we need to connect with wealth and our generosity to make this world a better place, don't we?
We certainly do. And I think part of the giving needs to be teaching. They need to learn these things. Even if we hand them, as you said, Barbara, a bountiful, generous tip. Okay, so
Hmm.
they've got this money now in their hand. This is their tip. They still need the education.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think what's really great about you and what you do, right, at Valor is giving that education, right? Also doing it in a way of it being judgment free. I've been able to really be able to observe you and also the way you interact with those around you. And you're very caring, you're very thoughtful, and you are understanding. And I think with that, it allows for women, whether you are starting over, you're brand new, or whatever that but situation where you may be in, you're willing just to say, hey, let me help you. Let me give you that piece of advice. So when you think about the woman who maybe she's like, or the person, right? The person who wants to get started, what is the best way they should reach out to you to begin that journey of becoming more educated in how they leverage their finances?
Well, they're more than welcome to contact me. My phone number is 503-793-8216. I'm licensed in any state, and thanks to Zoom technology and docu-signing, they don't have to get on a plane to see me. I don't have to get on a plane to see them. We can do everything we need to do right here like we're doing right now. So the phone, I'm one of those goofballs that answers my phone, and that returns calls. So they can also contact my website, Wealth with Valor, www.wealthwithvalor.com. I called it Valor because that's the base of my name, Valorie. My parents spelled it Valorie. Valor means courage.
Yeah.
Valor means courage. And so I thought that's aptly the right title for me. So, Wealth with Valor. It takes guts to make that decision.
Hmm.
It takes schmaltz,
It does, it does, and all 3 of us, we've kind of, like, interconnected over time, and you have this, networking group that's called Growth with Valor,
Yeah.
Growth with Valorie,
Hmm.
that you have each week. So tell us real quickly too about that. You gave your contact information. Talk about real quickly about the Growth with Valor and what that's all about. What's your mission there?
So I just decided to call my networking group Growth with Valor instead of Wealth with Valor because I want everybody to come and enjoy the time there and the space there and learn some things. I'm not teaching financial education in there, but we're all sharing our information and getting to know one another and creating referrals for one another. So that's on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. So any of you who would like to attend that, we actually have people, men and women from all over our country, even all over the world that are attending Growth with Valor. And I work pretty hard at making it fun and funny and amusing and warm. So any of you are welcome to come to that. Just call me and I will send you an invitation.
That's
and that's
cool.
9 a.m. Eastern.
9 a.m. Eastern. So that's 6
Perfect.
a.m. your
Good
time.
point, because these times, because here I am in Maryland, you're down south from me, Quincy's over there in Arizona. We have people even like outside of the United States that
yeah.
watch Optimize Her2 on YouTube. It sounds like we had a few takeaways, and it seems like to me for this lady, like the one that you had with the purses, with the cars, and the things, because a lot of people look at material things and they believe that is true wealth. And I think after this segment and our previous segments we've done on wealth here, because I think it's that important that people understand right now, today, that they need to start now, not worry about the past, not feel guilty about what you didn't done. Don't worry about those fears of what will happen from the past, because now we're going forward and starting small, having that conversation with somebody like Valorie Smith so that they can start growing their own financial wealth. And also you can help teach them. Well, let's look at some things. Debt is not wealth. That pocketbook that you charged on that credit card, that's not wealth. And then teaching them a different way to think. It sounds like you were successful of doing with your example with this lady. And I applaud you for being able to hang in there with her and also be tenacious enough for her to go back and for her to then understand, comprehend what you're saying, then get that message. That's very, very important. Thank you, Valorie.
Thank you very much, Barbara and LaQuincia. It was delightful being here with you both.
Yeah.
Always, always. And I just want to say to people that as they come to Optimize Her2, they will see a host of different people, and also Quincy and myself as we go live. And also we are now not just the first and third Tuesdays of each month in the evening, but we are also the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month, where we're going to go into other topics, whether it's with just Quincy and I talking about something like narcissism that we did recently, but also we want to make our fourth Tuesday something more social oriented, something more about what's happening in our society. And it doesn't take much to know what I'm talking about. There's many things that are happening, and especially ladies, we can do so many things to build up our communities, and it starts right with self. So thank you again. And Quincy, was there anything else you wanted to mention about Optimize Her2 before we totally sign off today?
Absolutely. Yes. Just to, make sure that you all understand that our goal and our mission is always to educate, elevate, and empower all humans to really move forward and think about how can you be of better impact to yourself and those around you. Today's conversation has given many of us the permission to believe that we can begin building a stronger financial future right here where we start at this moment. So if you think you've been postponing a financial decision, you know me, I'm your resident conflict avoidance queen. I'm going to ask you to look at yourself. Where do you need to be a bit more honest? Who do you want to have as a partner with you? If I'm thinking about financial education, I'm going to maybe go with Valorie. I love the idea of Valor, right? I have a military background in my name. That brings something true to me about just how do you show up with integrity, the type of trust that I'm going to have in her. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, reach out to Valorie. She shared her phone number. We will have it in the description below. And again, we will see you Tuesdays every week at this point. If there's 4 Tuesdays, we're there. If it's 5 Tuesdays, maybe we'll drop something fun. But hype us up, like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you
Stay
for
well,
doing
everyone.
Thank you for doing the Optimize Her2. That is brilliant. I absolutely love the title. I love the idea, and I will be watching that too. on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Ditto. Stay well, everyone.
Stay well. Bye-bye.